The right to have that kind of career path. Is it a right, though? See, right out the gates, you're already rubbing me the wrong way. You were very privileged, as a matter of fact, to get the opportunities that you had. You know, no disrespect. I'm just saying I'm just recognizing it for what it was, an amazing privilege. And it's because of, and you are self-admittedly saying it's because of your connections. This Jim Crocker fellow, as far as I can see, was your ticket into mainstream TV. So that wasn't a right. That was a privilege. You knew somebody who was in the industry, and they handed you, I'm not saying there wasn't any work involved on your end. Yeah, you had to prove yourself after the fact. And you do seem as though you were humble about that. You're not saying you went in there and you were telling them how to do the job and how the job is done. I'm not insinuating that, but you definitely had privilege. It was a privilege. It wasn't a right. In other words, nobody owed you that opportunity. So right off the gates, that's where my stance is on this. Okay. So the right to have that career path, to enable new writers, young writers, and yes, prose writers to climb the same ladder. Right now, they can't. So this, maybe we get a little inside info here. Streamers, so like streaming services, streamers and shortened seasons have blown the ladder to splinters. The way it works now, a show gets put in development. The showrunner assembles a mini room made up of a couple of senior writers and a couple newcomers. They meet for a month or two, beat out a season, break down the episodes, go off and write scripts, reassemble, get notes, give notes, rewrite, rinse, and repeat. And finally, turn into the scripts. And show is greenlit or not. Some shows never get past the room. What a grueling process, huh? But that's the level. That's what I'm saying. That's like the level of professionalism. When I'm talking about professionalism, this is shit that can be recreated in the indie scene. This isn't something that is just exclusively Hollywood, but he is giving you an inside info of this is how Hollywood kind of works. You know what I'm saying? Behind the scenes. But this is all shit that can also be recreated in the indie scene as well. This process, in other words, you recognize he's giving you inside info as to the blueprint, the business plan, if you will. This is critical information right here that you can kind of model your own projects after if you wanted to. The showrunner and his second, maybe his second and his third, take it from there. The writers, the writer producers, the ones who already know all the things that I learned on Twilight Zone. The junior writers, they're not there. Once they delivered their scripts and did a revision or two, they were paid, sent home, their salary ended. They are off looking for another gig. And that's a byproduct. I think that's a byproduct of the rise of the indie scene, because the indie scene, like I say, it's more of you're doing business with other it's just individuals doing business with other individuals. And apparently it's no different in Hollywood now. The gig economy is everywhere. There's no need to have, and I'll say this from a business mindset, like I'd actually take their side on this. There's no need to have unnecessary people on payroll. If you're trying to run a business, if you're trying to make a profit from your production, you don't want to have hangarounds. You don't want to have people lingering around on payroll. Just 1099 their asses and just thanks for your work. Okay, you got to go home now. Well, you don't have to go home, but you can't stay here. As far as that goes, I'll pay you for a particular job. Once the job's done, 1099 your ass right out the door. All right. And that's fine. Like, I feel like that's what commissions are all about. Commissioning. You don't want to get, why would you want to get trapped in a contract anyways? I feel like that would just be limiting as an artist. You know what I mean? You don't want to be trapped in a contract. I would feel like you want to be able to be mobile, bounce around with different things. Okay. You got a job for this one particular project. You're hyper focused on that one particular thing. Bada boom, bada bing, you're out of there. And you're hopping on to the next thing. You know, you don't want to be locked into a contract where it's like, okay, you might be getting paid, but you can't do anything else. Maybe you're getting shit salary on top of that. And you also wrote a contract, you signed a contract where now you're locked into a deal for like 6 months where you can't be producing anything else for 6 months. You know, that might be stipulation. I'm just saying, I'm not saying that is a norm, but I'm saying that that's a possibility. If the series gets another season, maybe they will be brought back. Maybe they won't. Maybe they can't, since they are off in another mini room for another show. See what I mean? So one more thing about mini rooms. He says mini rooms are abominations. A little value judgment there from George. Mini rooms are abominations, and the refusal of the AMPTP to pay writers to stay with their shows through production as part of the job for which they need to be paid, not as a tourist, is not only wrong, it is incredibly short-sighted. If the story editors of 2023 are not allowed to get any production experience, where do the studios think the showrunners of 2033 are going to come from? If nothing else, the WGA needs to win that on that issue, no matter how long it may take. I mean, just getting paid to be a hang around, though, you know, I can see like being and having an active role, but getting paid to just be a fucking hang around, you know, and get in the way when your job ultimately is done. Like, if that's your job, you're the script. You do the script. Okay, maybe get rid of the mini rooms. All right. You want them to be involved. Just bring back the overall writer's room where all the writers that are involved in the project congregate and have a say on the production. Yeah, I could see that. But Hollywood is Hollywood. Hollywood's going to do what Hollywood does. It has always done. It's the bottom line now. Well, maybe not always have done, but in recent years, it's all about the bottom line now because these productions are huge investments. Which is why, you know, the rise of the indie scene may bring just that. You don't have to copy the Hollywood blueprint because there's no time constraints. If you're creating a project like an indie film or something like that, and you want to involve everybody who's involved in the project, you know, you're going to have to negotiate. You're going to have to learn how to negotiate things. You know, there'll most likely be contracts involved for a production of that size. But you know, everybody should know their role. Everybody should know their role, and you guys can hash it out however you want. You know, this Hollywood crap, this just sounds like George has a little bit of a chip on his shoulder, you know, maybe a little bit jaded from the, you know, the Game of Thrones debacle, television debacle. And, you know, that might be weighing on his soul a little bit. And now he's just kind of tossing out words like rights, you know, as if people are entitled to things, you know, because people are always, because that's the thing. People are always so generous, right? When it comes to other people's money, right? So long as it's other people's money, you should do this. You should do that. Should they? You know, you ever notice that? People are very generous when it comes to other people's money. But when it's their money that's involved, suddenly it's an issue. You know, we got to think about these things. Let's break it down a little bit. Do we need this in there? Can we go with the cheap material for the costumes? Is that an option? Can the actors just wear slices of cheese? Can we do that? Government cheese, actually, not even the good stuff. Now that's a cheesy costume. All right. Be interested to hear what you guys have to say. What's your reaction to that article? You got any comments for for me in regard to George's take there? What do you think? Has it kind of opened your eyes up a little bit to the industry itself and kind of get insider's look on how things work, how things used to be, how they are today? What's your opinion on the WGA? Let me know.